Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Jaya Radha Madhava Javiyari Jaya Radha Madhava Javiyari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Sodanandana Vajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Javihari Jaya Radha Madhava Javihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Sodanandana Brajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Vistapad Pranamahangsa Jagajaya Asadars of Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Guru Vaishnavani Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem Sri Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Maya Panavi Dham Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamunamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Chansana Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading the Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. I think there's just a few more. And this is text number 57. Sanardhinapi tulaye nasvargam napunar bhavan bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utasisaha Sanardhinapi tulaye nasvargam napunar bhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utasisaha Sanardhinapi tulaye nasvargam napunar bhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kim Udhasisaha. Svargam Napuram Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kim Utasinaha Sanardhinapi tulaye Swargam Napanar Bhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kim Utasinaha Sanardhinapi tulaye Nasvargam Napanar Bhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Sanardhinapi tulaye Nasvargam Napanar Bhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kimutai. Sanardhina, by half a moment. That's a short period of time. Api, even. Tulaye, compare. Na, never. Svargam, heavenly planets. Na, neither. Apuna, bhavam, merging into the Supreme. Bhagavat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sangi, associate. Sangasya, one who takes advantage of associating. Martyanam, of the conditioned soul. Kim uta, what is there? Asisaha, blessings. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. If one by chance associates with a devotee even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest, then, can he have in the benedictions of the demigods, who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Purport. There are three kinds of men, the karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. The bhakta is described here as the most exalted. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has sung, Kaya Vauyang Narakayate Tridasa Pur Akasha Pushpayate Chaitanya Chandramrita. The word Kaivalya means to merge into the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the word Tridasa Pur refers to the heavenly planets where the demigods live. Thus, for a devotee, Kaivalya Sukha, or merging into the existence of the Lord, is hellish, because the bhakti considers it suicidal to lose his individuality and merge into the effulgence of Brahman. A bhakta always wants to retain his individuality in order to render service to the Lord. Indeed, he considers promotion to the upper planetary systems to be no better than a will-o'-the-wisp. Temporary, material happiness holds no value for a devotee. The devotee is in such an exalted position that he is not interested in the actions of karma or jnana. The resultant actions of karma and jnana are so insignificant to a devotee situated on the transcendental platform that he is not in the least interested in them. Bhakti yoga is sufficient to give the bhakta all happiness, as stated in the srimadbhagavatam 1.2.6. Yasyatma supersediti. One can be fully satisfied simply by devotional service, and that is the result of association with a devotee. Without being blessed by a pure devotee, no one can be fully satisfied, nor can anyone understand the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Yanatamandasya Girandana Salakaya Chakshram Malatam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurve Nama Mukram Gurdura Chalam Pongundang Haite Gurim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shugurum Dinataranam Vanchakapati Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Putitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's mentioned by Lord Chaitanya, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Sister Hoy, Lavamata Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That even a moment's association with a pure devotee can give all benefit to the living entity. It's mentioned that in the 11th of a second, just the 11th of a second, short time, one can get all kinds of benedictions. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Lavamata Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Sarva Siddhi Hoy means all perfection, just by a moment's association with a pure devotee. So one may ask then, well, Prabhupada gave so much association to people while he was on this planet. We're talking about millions. Like there's one pastime in Mexico where Prabhupada was preaching all day, and the temple president said, Prabhupada, I know you've been busy all day preaching, but we have a special program today. It's very late though. It's like midnight. Prabhupada said, how many people were here? Prabhupada is the most popular radio program in the city, or in the country. 20 million people are here. Okay, then we must go. Midnight. And this person, the interviewer, was so respectful to Prabhupada. So nice. So 20 million people heard Prabhupada. That's association. That's more than a moment. They spoke for an hour. This interview went on for an hour. 20 million people. So that's a lot of association. A lot of people got a lot of association. All over the world, people were getting association of Srila Prabhupada. Why didn't they achieve perfection? Well, it's not just the association of Srila Prabhupada. A devotee asked Prabhupada about this particular verse, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi. And Prabhupada said, well, if you have a dry piece of wood, then it's easy to light. If the wood is wet, then you could try to light it for 100 years and it won't light if it stays wet. So it's not just the association of the pure devotee, but it's also dependent on the person. He gives another example of dry grass. You put a spark on dry grass, within a short time a fire comes up, if it's dry weather also. But that same spark, if you put it into green grass, it's just going to go out gradually. And if you put the spark in water, it goes out immediately. So there's a lot of water and grass, but no dry grass. Very little dry grass where people hear, oh, this is very good. I remember I was distributing books once at a university, and this student came up and he saw the whole setup that I had, yoga, meditation, reincarnation, and I was speaking to him about the books, and I'll take all the books you got. And then I told him about our center, and he came that Sunday to the temple. The next Sunday he moved in. It was like real dry grass. So there's people like that. They just hear and like, wow. So why is that? Yesam twantagatam papam jananam punyakarman tedvandvamo nirma bhajantimam duvidavata. That persons who have acted piously in previous life and in this life, who was free of sinful reactions, who was free of the dualities of delusion, they engage in my service with determination. So it's due to past life. Prabhupada mentions in one purport that one cannot engage in devotional service without having some service in the past life. He's picking it up. Of course, now a lot of people are starting, just like so many people heard Prabhupada, so many of them are starting their journey just by hearing the pure devotee. But to actually take up Krishna consciousness, this is due to some past activities, and therefore it's also in the srimadbhagavatam. Aho bata svapachato gariyan yad jiva gre vartide namatubhyam te pustapasye juhuvushna arna brahmanachi nama grananti yete. That anyone who is, actually stated, oh, how glorious are those persons upon whose tongues the holy name is being chanted. Such persons must have had all the good qualities of the Aryans, bathed in the holy places, performed sacrifices in order to be now chanting the holy name of the Lord. So this is shastric. Now we also hear about how that there's one pastime where Prabhupada was talking to a devotee, and the devotee was saying how fortunate he is that he's again taking up devotional service in this lifetime. And Prabhupada said, well, I created your good fortune. You might have heard that before. But Prabhupada, he wanted everybody to take to Krishna consciousness, right? So if it was just by Prabhupada's good fortune, then everybody in the world would be a devotee, because he wanted everybody to get the good fortune of Krishna consciousness. But how many disciples did he have? About 4,500. Why only 4,500? He wanted everybody to get the good fortune of Krishna consciousness. Why only 4,500? Because it wasn't just Prabhupada's desire that they get good fortune. There was some previous. Although there is instance where Prabhupada said that some devotees were sent by Krishna to help him in spreading Krishna consciousness. So that's also there. So, yeah, in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult for people to embrace Krishna consciousness. Why? Because of rules. I was speaking to one man, and he was an atheist. And, Prabhupada gives so many arguments, against atheism, good arguments, and finally he said, all right, you're making good logical sense. So, yeah, there's probably a God. But then he said, but there's rules. People don't like the rules. If you believe in God, then you got to follow some laws, the laws of God. People don't like that. People just want to do whatever they want to do. Be free, do whatever I want. But if they're free to do whatever they want, then they're not free of the modes of nature. So they're not free of suffering. But if they're free of the modes of nature, then they're free to be satisfied, happy, Krishna consciousness. But as long as people are under these modes of nature, as long as they're engaged in these sinful activities, then they can't actually have happiness. Just like these laws, these four regular principles. If people gamble, then they lose their honesty. One of the pillars of religiosity, honesty. Prabhupada said that a devotee is so honest that he'll even tell the truth to his enemy. Very honest. And this is one of the symptoms of a devotee is honest, a perfect gentleman. So, of course, I think this is the last leg of the bull of Dharma, right? Honesty. I think and there's not much of that left. he just barely got that leg left. Honesty. Just like there's one devotee who's famous for never telling a lie. Yudhisthira. So if you have one devotee, one person that's famous for never telling a lie, everybody else is a liar. Well, there's white lies and there's black lies. So just to be honest, that's one of the austerities of the mind, is to be honest. So that's gambling destroys this honesty, and gambling is such a terrible addiction. I was just listening to one devotee was giving class, and he was saying how there was one man, he was very wealthy, and he had a son that had access to his wealth, but he was using it for gambling. And his father found out. And then he wanted more money to gamble, the son. So the father wouldn't give it to him. And the son said, well, if you don't give me money, I'm going to kill myself. So he had to give money. Didn't want a dead son. But better to have a gambling son than a dead son. So it's so addicting. In Australia, I don't know if I mentioned this here, in Australia, one devotee has a brother that was working at these casinos, and they had bars on the windows because people were jumping out, losing everything and killing themselves. Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible addiction. And then intoxication. By intoxication, they lose cleanliness. You become dirty inside and outside. Like people are intoxicated, you see them, they're very dirty, muchi. So cleanliness. Prabhupada said a Brahmana means that when he goes into a place and leaves, it's cleaner when he leaves than it was when he entered. So cleanliness is very important. Whenever we see something dirty, then we should clean it up. And one devotee told me he was at a temple, and he wanted to see how long a piece of paper would last in the front of the temple, on the lawn there. It stayed there for 3 days. He was shocked. Nobody picked it up. A piece of paper, you pick it up, put it in the trash. He was shocked. So whenever we see some dirt, then we should clean it up. Yeah, it's good. It's a good mentality. I mean, there was one pastime in Mayapur. This is very early days when they were doing the construction, I think, of the long building there. And there was one latrine there, and the toilet was overflooded with feces. And Prabhupada saw that, and he was just shocked. Like, he told the devotees that were walking with him, what is this? And they said, well, Prabhupada, the workers that are coming from villages, they don't know that you flush a toilet. They've never seen a toilet that flushes. They're used to going to the field. And Prabhupada said, I understand that. But this is wrong. How can you allow this to go on like this? He said, if you see something in the mode of ignorance, and you don't correct it, then you also become affected by the mode of ignorance. So we see something in the mode of ignorance, so we see dirt and we just leave it, then this means we're getting affected by the mode of ignorance, to leave a place dirty. Because this is Krishna's temple area. Here's Krishna's direct room, but this is Krishna's facility here. So we should try to keep it as clean as possible. Krishna will be pleased. Cleanliness is very important. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Very important. And then, so gambling, intoxication, meat eating. Meat eating destroys mercy. Destroys mercy. A devotee doesn't cause harm to any living entity. Vidya vaniya sampane brahmane gavihastini suni chaiva jaseka pandita samadarshana. The devotee sees with equal vision the brahmana, the cow, the elephant, the dog, and the dog eater, because he sees the soul. So imagine if everybody were able to see like this. Imagine if everybody in the world was following the 4 regular principles. Be a nice place, huh? Of course, there's some people that are following the regular principles, but they're not devotees. Mayavadis. But imagine if everybody's following the 4 regular and a devotee. Be very auspicious. Actually, there's one instance where Prabhupada was visiting one temple, and a lady went up to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I had a wonderful dream last night. I dreamt that everyone in the world was chanting Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada's eyes became very wide. Oh, very nice dream. And that is my desire. So Prabhupada had that desire, that everyone become devotee. So gambling, intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex. Austerity is destroyed by illicit sex. This is the most austere thing. Just like Bhishma, his father wanted to marry this lady. What was her name? Satyavati, I think. Yeah. And he was the king. The father of Bhishma was the king. But the father of this Satyavati wouldn't allow it because the son of his daughter wouldn't be the king. Bhishma would be the king, so he wouldn't let it happen. So Bhishma's father was a little disturbed. He was lamenting. And Bhishma could see that, and he asked some of the secretaries there, well, what's wrong with my father? Why is he so depressed? Well, he wants to marry this lady, and the father won't allow it because you're going to be the king, and he wants that his grandson be the king. He was a little surprised to hear that. He was just a fisherman, yeah. So he went to this person and said, I understand that you're not allowing your daughter to marry my father because you're concerned that your grandson won't be the king, then I'll be the king. Well, I won't accept the throne. So you could go ahead and allow your daughter to marry my father. No, I still won't allow because your son will become the king. And then he took a vow that he won't marry. And when he made that vow, an unembodied voice said, your name is Bhishma. What does Bhishma mean? Terrible vow. It's a terrible vow. Because that's like the heavenly, the heavenly pleasure in the material world. That's like the main pleasure in the material world. So to take that vow, that's a great austerity. And sannyasis, they take that vow. Unfortunately, many of our sannyasis weren't able to keep that vow. So it's a great austerity. So one loses austerity. Like Prabhupada, when he was preaching at some, I think a high school or something, some youth, and they weren't very submissive. And this is because they're losing their innocence because of so much sense gratification. People lose their innocence by engaging in too much sense gratification, especially this type of sense gratification. So, of course, in the age of Kali, it's very difficult. There's this statement here by Papodananda Saraswati. There's another amazing statement. He says, Kala kalir balina indriya vairi varga shi bhakti marg igakantaka koti rudha. He says, in the age of Kali, it's very difficult to control the enemy of our senses. And one is, what is it? And he says that the living entity is harassed by millions of thorny obstacles. In the age of Kali, the living entity is harassed, disturbed by millions of thorny obstacles. It says millions, like wow. Then he goes on to say, my dear Lord Chaitanya, therefore if you're not merciful to me, if you don't give me your mercy, then what will I do? Where will I go? So he's begging Lord Chaitanya for mercy. So it's very difficult to advance in Krishna consciousness in Kali Yuga. But we have the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and so many devotees that Srila Prabhupada has made. But Krishna, he says, Machchita sarvadurgani mat prasada trishasi athachvatang ahankaram nashoshasi vanangshasi. He says, if you become conscious of me, you'll cross over all the obstacles, all the millions of obstacles. You can cross over all of them if you just become conscious of me. If, however, you act out of false ego, no, I don't want to hear Krishna anymore, then you'll be lost. You'll be lost. Nobody likes to be lost, right? It's a very uncomfortable feeling. to be lost. I remember one time I was in Ukraine, and I was staying at a temple there, visiting a temple, and I went on a walk. And usually I'm pretty good with direction, but this time I got lost. I didn't know where I was walking for a couple of hours trying to find the temple. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. Of course, I mean, eventually I found it. I just asked you, hey, you know where the Hare Krishna temple is? I found it. But yeah, it's an uncomfortable feeling. So throughout the world now, people are lost in the this depths of Kali Yuga, uncontrolled senses, not knowing. Natevatu svartha gatinghi Vishnu dharasya ye bharyarthana. That people, they don't know what is actually valuable. What is actually valuable is that people engage in the service of Krishna. This is the pleasure of the soul. But what they're thinking is valuable is sense gratification. A lot of it. They're thinking this is very valuable. But it's actually a waste of the human form of life. They don't reach any satisfaction. It's like in the last part of this purport, Prabhupada mentions this very famous verse, Yashatma supersidity, that the supreme occupational duty for all mankind is that by which one can engage in loving service to Krishna. And such service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. So this is what satisfies the self. Nothing else actually completely satisfies the soul. And Krishna is so great. He's so wonderful. He's so unlimited that he can satisfy unlimited living entities, like billions and trillions and quadrillions. But who can we satisfy? We can't satisfy anyone. And therefore there's so much, so many girls and boys that are dating, they break up, and husbands and wives, they break up, and so much friction in family relationships. So we can't bring satisfaction to anyone, ultimately. But Krishna, he's so wonderful. He can satisfy everyone to the highest degree. So this is the position of Krishna. And the more we serve Krishna, the more we're satisfied. This is another thing, is that someone may be convinced that there is a God, but they don't like the rules and they don't like the idea of serving. Nobody wants to be a servant. Right? People want to be the master. But actually it's nice to be the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we should want to serve him, because everything that we have is coming from him. We have this nice temple because of Krishna. Yeah. We have the association of devotees because of Krishna. Yeah. Krishna's given us everything. Like, I'll give you an example. There's so many people, rich people, they have homes, nice homes. It's like, imagine someone, he's building a home. Let's say it's a $30 million home. I have a friend now, he's building a home. It costs $30 million, believe it or not, up in Los Angeles. So imagine the construction workers, they finish the home, it's all finished and looks beautiful, and my friend and his family are getting ready to move into the home, and the construction workers say to my friend, you know, we've been working on this home here for a few years now. We really like it, so we decided we want to live here. So you can go back to wherever you were staying. We're gonna live here. We're gonna take this home for ourselves. Now, how do you think my friend would feel about that? You call the cops. It's illegal. You can't do that. You can't do that. So similarly, everything belongs to Krishna. If we take anything for ourselves, it's illegal. you're a thief. You get a reaction for that. Nothing is ours. Just like they're building these huge skyscrapers. Just like here in SanDiego, they have these big skyscrapers, and wealthy people think they own this. But where do they get the materials? Yeah, the stone, the wood, the pipes, the steel, all this, it's coming from Krishna. They can't make any of this. It's all coming from Krishna. But they're thinking it's theirs. No. They get reaction for this. Isavashya vedanga sarvam yakincha jagadyan jagat. Chena chak chena bunjita magridha kashasvidanam. That everything that exists is owned and controlled by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, we should only take what we need as our quota and not accept more, knowing well to whom everything belongs. So, yeah, everything belongs to Krishna. So, we should understand that, and we also want to help others understand this reality. Otherwise, get misled. It's like here, in this purport, it's mentioned that Prabhupada mentions how the living entities, they merge into the Brahman effulgence. They don't want to serve Krishna. They enter into the Brahman. This is like hell. There's no service there. There's no variety. Prabhupada mentions that there's knowledge and there's eternality, but there's no bliss, there's no happiness. And therefore they come down again for variety. Yeah. The variety is the spice of life. It's like so many spaceships have gone up and they're going up and they're circling the planet or just going in space, but they want to come down. They don't want to stay there too long. They want to come down. There's no variety. So, and there's also many varieties of ways that we can serve Krishna. Speaking about Krishna, the leading kirtans, cooking, deity worship. And then outside we have many people that are working. We have IT experts that are living outside working, but they're doing service. So there's this, you've heard this statement that Prabhupada, he built a house in which the whole world can live. Actually, it's true, but very few can live in Prabhupada's house. In order to live in Prabhupada's house, people have to do what Krishna wants and what Prabhupada wants. 4 regular principles, 16 rounds. If they're not doing these things, then they can't live in the house. So that's why very few people live in Prabhupada's house. Although it's possible. People can. And that doesn't mean they have to live in the temple. It's like here in SanDiego, there's so many devotees that live outside. And in their house, you'll see there's pictures of Krishna, pictures of Prabhupada. And whatever they cook, they offer to Krishna. So that's Prabhupada's house also. They know this is not my house, it's Krishna's house, it's Prabhupada's house. So one doesn't even have to live in the temple if they could turn their house. And even Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in doing my service, while doing my service to Krishna, I noticed that my house turned into Vaikuntha. Because everything he's doing in his house is devotional service. So even these houses that are away from the temple, they could be Vaikuntha because they're engaged in devotional service in these houses. So we want to turn more and more houses into temples. Just like in Vrindavan, Prabhupada used to say there's 5,000 temples in Vrindavan. But if you go to Vrindavan, there might be maybe 100 or 200 actual temples, but in all people's homes, those are also temples because Krishna is being worshipped there. Yeah. So we want to increase that. More and more houses turned into temples. Any question or comment? Yeah.
I took a class a couple years ago on the psychology of addiction, and we were studying gambling. And we learned that casinos are designed to have no clocks, no windows, and have this mood, like a really dark mood. And so I was realizing that they want, people to feel trapped, have like a loose sense of time. And it was really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's even instances, met people that in Sankirtan that worked at casinos, and I sometimes I'll just talk to them. So you've seen people pretty addicted to gambling, huh? Oh yeah, I mean people they pass urine right there. They don't want to because they're putting so much money in. If they leave, someone else might take it and take their take their money. So the rugs are pretty smelly sometimes. Yeah. They just they become completely addicted. Just yeah, probably, yeah. People now we're hearing Mukunda saying that people playing video games. It's not even gambling, just playing video games. They're just so addicted. They just urinate right there playing the video game. At some arcade or something? No, at their house. Oh, oh my God.
That's why some places they actually sell like those portable things you urinate into for gamers. They actually have those. Oh really?
At casinos?
Not at casinos, at gamers sometimes have one by their computer just in case. They sell at video game places.
Some gamers they have places where you could urinate right there at the game, so you don't you don't have to.
Like the kind of thing you get in the hospitals, like a big.
Oh yeah. Because they don't want they don't want their ecstasy to be interrupted. The uninterrupted uninterrupted ecstasy. Stai Baba. Oh my God! I mean, I was distributing books one time in Australia, and this guy was at one of these. He was at one of these arcades, at one of these games, and he lost, and he started kicking the machine. I mean, really kicking it and shouting at it. He was just like shouting at it and kicking it. Like I was like, wow. People just lose it. So their only hope is Krishna consciousness. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki? Yeah.